champions from the Sleeper Wire Fantasy Football Show will help you win your fantasy football championship. Sleeper Wire, Friday 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Sleeper Wire on Dash Talk.
I'm ready for all today. You wanna play all the way.
Welcome to the Sleeper Wire Show. Today is December 5th, 2017. I'm your host, Producer Steve. With me today, like always on Mondays, Professor Chris and Money Max. Do we have a nickname, Max?
I kind of hope so.
Oh.
I mean, it's been long enough. It's been 3 years.
We'll see if it sticks.
Money Max.
We'll see if it sticks. I think for
My
money,
calls have been pretty money this year.
your calls have been money, but are you flashy? Like, if you're a flashy guy, then I'd say, okay, you're Money Max. I don't know if you're a flashy guy.
I'm wearing a Calvin Klein jacket right now. I didn't buy it. It was a gift, but I'm wearing one.
Hey, man, that works. That's good enough for today. So we got Money Max, Professor Chris. And today, well, guys, it's Week 14. You made it to the playoffs. Congratulations. If you didn't, you're going to beat up people in the Consolation Bowl. Maybe you've got draft picks on the line for next year. Maybe you've got still prizes and money to win in the consolation bracket. But here's what we're going to do today. We are going to lock and load you up for the championship run. We're going to look at the Week 13 games. We're going to examine the fantasy value and potential of some players so that you'll be ready for the championship drive. Let's get started. All right, before we start, I do want to mention we have an autographed Michael Crabtree jersey available for a raffle. Now, we did this in the beginning of this season. We're going to raffle off a signed, certified, autographed Michael Crabtree jersey from Pristine Auction. What we're going to do starting today, if you leave us a nice review, either on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, wherever you leave reviews, wherever you listen to the podcast, we'll enter your name into a drawing. We're going to take entries, reviews and entries up through till the end of the Super Bowl. So you've got a good amount of time here to get a review in. So if we helped you out at all this season, let us know in a review. We'll enter your name into the drawing for the Michael Crabtree jersey, autographed and certified. All right, dudes. This week, I want to kind of go over these games, and we normally talk about them in depth, but this week I really just want to talk about some players that had big weeks and not so big weeks, and get your thoughts on if they can continue these trends, either good or bad, for the next 3 weeks for our guys out there playing in the championship playoffs. So, we start with the Cowboys game. The Cowboys beat up on the Redskins, and I think this was mostly due to that offensive line getting back. Tyron Smith and Zach Martin were healthy. We finally saw the game from Alfred Morris. It took us a couple of weeks. We only got 2 more weeks with no Elliott. So, I want to know, guys, can you trust Alfred Morris to start the next 2 weeks for the Cowboys? They face the Giants and the Raiders on the road.
I'm going to trust him. He put in work last week, and I think he's earned it. I think they finally came to a consensus that he's going to be the back. You know, they must listen to our podcast, and we're like, you know what? Let's give Max a shot.
I agree.
All right. That's good to know.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can trust him against the Giants and the Raiders.
Same
After getting 27 carries, why would they not?
Dak Prescott, he finally got back on track after a couple of tough weeks. You trust in him the next 3 weeks. Well, let's say the next 2 weeks, because I think once Elliott gets back, that team hopefully gets back to its winning ways. But they really need to run the table to get into the playoffs. You think Dak's got the intestinal fortitude to put together 2 more good weeks? You starting him in fantasy for the next 2?
He's got 2 beautiful matchups against 2 defenses. Why wouldn't you start him?
Yep, I agree.
The Washington side, they could not stop the run. Countless errors, 2 bad errors by Jamison Crowder, and they lost right tackle Morgan Moses, which kind of started the trouble. It's going to be hard to see the Redskins in the playoffs. They're 5-7 right now. They got the Chargers on the road, the Cards, and the Broncos to finish off the season. Any concerns about these guys? I'm concerned about Vernon Davis not getting used 2 weeks in a row, but how about you, Professor Chris? Any concern about any Redskins starting for you the next couple of weeks in the playoffs?
No, I'm still going to start Kirk Cousins because I still know what he can do week to week, and he is pretty consistent. Jameson Crowder, I still feel okay about starting, but nobody else.
I kind of feel okay with Pirine.
I was going to say,
You know what? I
Pirine
was looking at
question.
that too.
Yeah.
I think I would be okay with flexing Pirine.
Yeah, definitely. I could see him with the ceiling of a mid RB2, which actually isn't bad because there's the boom potential there. But they seem to trust him, and he has to solidify his spot for next season. He has to prove that he's the running back going forward. Kirk Cousins isn't going to fall off because he's still playing for a contract.
Any ideas on Ryan Grant?
Grant, I'd look at if you're in a 14-team league and you're in the playoffs and there's no one on the waiver wire.
The Vikings and the Falcons. The Falcons were missing their top two cornerbacks with injury, but they couldn't get enough done on offense. They got a lot of penalties, too. This was a killer game for Julio Jones owners, right on the cusp of the playoffs. Yuck. Here's my question. Concerns about Julio in the next three. Does he face any other shutdown corners like he did this week when he goes against the Saints, the Bucks, and then the Saints again in the finals?
I mean, Marshawn Lattimore is not a pushover, and he has to play against him twice.
I was going to say the Saints secondary isn't really anything you can take with a grain of salt, I guess you could say. They've stepped up, and they're looking really good, and the Saints are hot right now. That would concern me, but it is Julio Jones. You still need to roll him out.
Yeah, he does have the Bucks in Week 15, which is a great matchup.
He's a must-start. What about Ryan, though? You feeling safe with starting Matt Ryan if he's your quarterback the next 3 weeks?
I'm fine with all three.
Yeah, I'm fine with all three, too.
Okay.
Minnesota played a different type of game than New Orleans. Minnesota got up and they fought, and they used the run game very efficiently. New Orleans is a fantastic run game, but New Orleans just loads the points, and that's kind of where you're going to want Matt Ryan to be. You're going to want him to be behind and just trying to score as much as humanly possible.
Anyone concerning on the Vikings? Thielen had a bit of off day. Stephon Diggs a bit of off day, but they're number one in the NFC right now, 10-2. So do you guys see any problems for any of these skilled players in the next 3 weeks at the Panthers, Bengals at home, at the Packers?
No, not really.
The Bengals sometimes can play really good defense, but that being said, no one seemed to be able to really stop or shut down that offense yet, so I'm not concerned.
Do you see Diggs as more of a flex start the next couple of weeks than a wide receiver too?
Not really. Thielen's been covered pretty well. Diggs still has major play potential. He's a wide receiver 3 right now, a little bit above a flex, but if he's your flex option, I'd feel okay about it.
All right. Would you put him in the ballpark with Crowder from Washington as well? Kind of the same area?
No.
Yeah.
Crowder has much higher potential to get multi-catches. I'd say consistency-wise, if you want to look over the full season, yeah, I'd put him about the same. But if it was a full-point PPR, I'd probably roll Crowder out first. If you want to compare him to, I would say a Brandon LaFell-esque type player.
Oh, wow.
Or,
okay.
Someone who, has the potential to put up a big week but doesn't always do it. Marvin Jones could be someone like that. He's been stringing together a few good weeks, but there's weeks where he does nothing or doesn't do much.
Right.
So the big play potential's there. He's extreme talent, but doesn't always get looked to first.
I could just see somebody with a question of Diggs, Funchess, Sanu, that range of guys.
I'd go Diggs over Sanu. I'd start Funchess over Diggs just because Funchess is the number one right now.
All right. Professor Chris, we had a lot of questions on the Blitz this week with McKinnon and Murray. They both turned out this week pretty good for you. Feel like you could start either one week to week. Any concerns over the next 2-3 weeks here?
No, I still think both guys are playable. Panthers do have a really good run defense, but Murray's looked really, really efficient every time he's gotten the ball, and McKinnon is still great out of the passing game, and this offense is a high-powered offense. So I think both guys can be played.
This is like the Falcons of last year.
Just good. Just a good team. All right, let's move on to the Jets and the Chiefs. All right, so this is a good one because last week we had a little discussion about what's wrong with the Chiefs. Is it the play calling, coaching? Is it Alex Smith not being aggressive enough? What's going on? You had a change in the play calling, but Alex Smith looked aggressive at the beginning. The problem this week appeared to be the defense. So I'm concerned primarily if Alex Smith doesn't keep up his aggressive ways in the next 3 weeks, and I'm really concerned about Kareem Hunt, guys. So break down for me, Professor Chris. What do you do with Kareem Hunt? He's had a lot of bad games recently.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I know a lot of people are benching him, and I could probably think of some players I would play over him this week as well. But, he still has Raiders, Chargers, Dolphins rest of season. And that's 3 really good teams to try to run the ball against. I would say the Jets they were the last tough defense that they play.
What do you think, Max?
See, I agree with that, and this could be complete bias because I own Kareem Hunt, but he hasn't been playing bad. He averaged 5 yards a carry. Oh, correction, sorry, a little under 5 yards a carry this past game, but he had 9 rush attempts. What do you expect someone to do with 9 rush attempts? He had 3 receptions for 23 yards. He's being a very, very efficient player with the work he's getting, but he's just not getting the work. And I don't know why Andy Reid has completely abandoned the thing that got them to 6-0, but it's confusing. Against the weaker defenses, KC should be up. So I would expect an uptick in production from Kareem Hunt.
I don't know, man. You guys, a lot of you guys, and a lot of other people have been like, Hunt's fine, Hunt bounced back. I noted in the thing here, he hasn't scored since week 3. He hasn't broken 100 yards in the last 5 weeks. And we saw it this week. If the defense can't stop a team, I don't see them doing that run game, Max. I think that's part of the reason he's not getting the carries.
See, I would agree with you on that, but the Raiders honestly aren't a good team. They aren't. They're hanging on to their position by the skin of their teeth. And what looks to be the most effective way to beat the Chargers right now is to run the ball. It's not through the air. It's on the ground. Isaiah Crowell only rushed 10 times, but had 41 yards. The passing game I know it's the Browns to say this, but the passing game was not good for the Browns. This is just the most recent thing I'm going off of. You need a solid run game. I think the Cowboys just showed the world you can't win without a good run game, and the Chiefs have been losing because they don't have a good run game, and that's not the running back's fault. That's bad coaching. So believe in Kareem Hunt. Don't believe in Andy Reid. However we want to take that, but they have decent matchups coming up.
I don't know, dude. I am really, really scared about starting Kareem Hunt in the playoffs here. Well, let me ask you, Professor Chris, you feel good about Alex Smith's bounce back, weekly start? Is he back to a weekly start now that Andy Reid's not calling the plays and he's looking more aggressive?
I think you could play him against the Raiders, but against the Chargers, I think it's a little too early to speculate on that because I want to see what he does against the Raiders. If he continues it against the Raiders, then I would be okay with playing him against the Chargers.
Okay.
The Cowboys accumulated about 90 rushing yards between 2 running backs against the Chargers, which isn't bad. And if Charkandrick West is still out, then
that game was all in garbage time. They didn't do a damn thing until the end of the third quarter in that game.
Yeah, with the Cowboys, like I said, they were a bad team until they had Alfred Morris solidify the run game, and then they won.
All right, I'm worried about the Chargers matchup out of those 3 guys. That's what I'm saying. They're a hot team right now, and the Chiefs are not quite in the trending column that they were in the beginning of the season. But the Jets. All right, McCown had you a great week. We saw Jermaine Kearse have a great week. ASJ had a tough matchup, so he didn't do well. So I'm concerned about, and I want to know about McCown. Is he a safe start the next 3? The Jets play at the Broncos, at the Saints, and the Chargers at home.
No. At the Saints would be the only one I'd be comfortable with. I know Miami just kind of crapped all over the Broncos, but it's still the Broncos. You have to give them that respect. And I don't know, I feel like this was the KC just having a bad defense.
Yeah, I figured the Jets were going to be able to put up a lot of points on that Kansas City defense as well. McCown has been one of the more consistent quarterbacks. I mean, he's been solid. He's been great. I played him over Dak Prescott this last week, and I'm really happy that I did. I think you can keep playing him. If I had to choose one guy to roll out the season with between McCown, let's say McCown and Case Keenum, I would take McCown.
Case Keenum has been perfectly fine and has easier matchups rest of season.
Talk to me about Kearse, though. Anderson's been a reliable start, still a reliable start throughout the playoffs, I think. Has Jermaine Kearse talked it into your minds a little bit as maybe being a pickup, a waiver wire pickup here at the end of the season?
Boomer bust play.
Boomer bust guy. Okay. Anything in the running backs you liked for the playoffs at all? From the Jets?
No, not at all.
Nope. Right. Did you guys
Matt Forte, you can't trust him against the Broncos, Saints, maybe against the Chargers if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I don't really like any of these guys.
Bilal Powell would be the running back I would trust given if you need a running back, especially in PPR.
No, I'm not trusting Bilal Powell anymore.
Desperation play.
All right, let's move on to the Titans and the Texans. Gosh damn it, my Texans. Giving up the garbage time touchdown, the 75-yard score to Derrick Henry. So on paper, when you look at the stats, Derrick Henry looks like a stud. But take away that 75-yard touchdown, he didn't do a lot. DeMarco Murray, again, not a lot. All right, Professor Chris, I'm going to attack you on this one because you've been saying DeMarco Murray. I have no faith in starting either of these guys in the next 3 in my playoffs. Do you?
Cardinals and 49ers? Yeah, I think so. I still think Murray over Henry. I still think he's going to be the one who's getting most of the work. It's getting closer to a 40-60, closer than I would have liked it to be because I was really high on DeMarco Murray. But I still am playing him, in the right matchup. Rams, that'll be difficult. So maybe week 16 you don't play him. But Cardinals and 49ers, I think it's okay.
All right, so you admit he's matchup potential, matchup dependent.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Max?
he's not a must start like he once was.
Okay. Max, you feel the same way?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, my only true concern not even concern, I wouldn't mind starting Derrick Henry at flex. But he's another kind of not as much of a desperation reach, but he's a reach. If you feel confident that Titans are going to be up, expect Derrick Henry to play. And against the 49ers, I expect them definitely to be up. So DeMarco will get the first 2 quarters of work, but I expect the bulk to go to Derrick Henry in the second half.
All right. Wide receivers didn't do anything with Matthews out this week. You see any value for the quarterback or wide receivers for the next 3? You guys like them against the 49ers, Cards, Rams?
No, not really.
No? Okay. So it's really just Delaney Walker. It's really the only guy you feel really safe about on that team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to say. I thought Mariota was going to be much better this season.
They're winning games. I mean, they're 8-4, so they're still in the hunt for the AFC South. So they're going to keep playing hard, I think. It's not a team that's giving up or anything like that. So you got to feel a little good about that. The Houston Texans, any guys you liked in terms of the Houston Texans? Steven Anderson had a good game at tight end. Is he somebody you might pick up in waivers? They faced the 49ers, the Jags, and the Steelers to close out the season. I don't know if there's any fantasy value left here.
If you need a tight end, then yeah, they use their tight ends a lot. So
I will say, if you were streaming Fedorowicz, you can stream Steven Anderson.
Pretty much start who you've been starting for the Texans. Nobody popped out of the page on there for you. I think they're out of the playoffs at this point. They're 4-8. I'm not starting their defense anymore as of 4 weeks ago, and they started getting me negative points. All right, Jaguars and Colts. Professor Chris, I'm going to go straight to you on this one. Any concern about T.Y. Hilton, Gore, or Doyle in the next 3 weeks? Because those are really the only guys anyone's been starting for the Colts. They go to the Bills, they play the Broncos, then they go to the Ravens.
Bills, Broncos, Ravens. Yeah. I think the Bills defense are still thought of as better than they actually are. So Hilton, I still think he can play, but nobody else.
What do you say, Max? Hilton, Gore, Doyle, next 3 weeks, feeling any of them or fading all of them?
I'd fade Gore so hard. Mac,
I forgot about Doyle. You can play Doyle every week.
Yeah, you can play Doyle. Mac, desperation play. He actually had an uptick this past week. But besides that, I'm not liking T.Y. I mean, T.Y. is T.Y., so you kind of want to roll him out if you can, or if you need to, and do it confidently, but I can't. No,
T.Y. is not T.Y. He had 2 for 11 in the opening half. T.Y. had a garbage time touchdown that saved his game this week.
Yeah, but I mean, he's considered in some circles to be an elite receiver. I think he's a product of being the guy. He's not DeAndre Hopkins, is what I'm saying. He can't make it for himself.
Right.
I wouldn't feel comfortable rolling him out. Frank Gore, I really wouldn't feel comfortable. Jack Doyle, I'd be okay with. And Marlon Mack actually had a decent, not unreal, but an okay PPR game. And if it's trending that way, then yeah, I could be okay with that.
I'm going to just tell you guys, I dropped T.Y. Hilton this week for
I don't blame you.
Kenyon Drake, because I looked at the upcoming schedule. You got the Jaguars, Bills, Broncos, Ravens. I'm like, I don't see a place where I would honestly comfortably start this guy. I know he's got boomer bust potential, but I can't count on any sort of baseline game that would even be worth a start for him. So if you're in that camp, hit me up on SleeperBot. We can chat about T.Y. Hilton. Any concern about the guys on the Jaguars? You had Fournette. I want to talk about Fournette, Marquise Lee, and Westbrook. You feel good about these guys for their next 3 games. They go against the Seahawks, the Texans, and the 49ers. I like those last 2 weeks as matchups for the playoffs. Feeling the same way about those 3?
Marquise Lee, I think you can play nearly every single week.
Yeah, I agree with that. Dede is the only one where I know everyone's hyped on him right now, but I still don't buy it. Blake Bortles actually had a very accurate game this week, which is not something we're used to seeing. So I have to see more proof, I guess.
Westbrook is going to be the big question guy, I think, for everybody. So for the Seahawks, Texans, and 49ers, would you start him the last 2 and maybe not against the Seahawks?
See, I almost feel like
him against Seahawks.
I almost feel like the Texans have a stronger secondary than the Seahawks right now due to the injuries. That being said, I wouldn't start him against the Seahawks or the Texans.
Yeah, the Texans, their secondary has been the weak spot of their game.
It has been, but I feel like something's guys being out of alignment. But Didi's also young. He's also not the best. Blake Bortles is a very incompetent quarterback. I think Blake Bortles has potential to, develop more into something maybe, but he was wildly accurate this game, which is something we do not see out of Blake Bortles, and I don't expect it going forward. And you have Houston, who's a defense that can take advantage of a quarterback slipping up, and Seattle obviously can as well. The 49ers are the only defense there that doesn't scare me at all.
Let's talk about the Ravens and the Lions. The Ravens just destroyed the Lions. Problem was Jimmy Smith torn Achilles, so that Ravens defense takes a hit. They were hot for everybody. How do you like them for the next 3 weeks? They go against the Steelers at Pittsburgh. They go to the Browns, and then they face the Colts. Everybody was hot on them for the rest of the season. You feel they're still going to be good even without Jimmy Smith?
Yeah, they still had a great game.
Against the Browns and the Colts, yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, I wouldn't start him.
Let's talk about Stafford then. Max, you said you trust him for the rest of the season, even though he's a little banged up. You still starting him next 3 weeks?
If he's out there.
Yep.
All right. Now, people are asking about him. They're throwing Flacco in the conversation. Is Flacco considerable in the next 3 weeks?
Joke.
Okay.
Flacco's been a joke for like 3 years. Matt Stafford, throughout his entire career, has been one of the saddest stories in the NFL because he's quietly fantastic and will never do well because his team is so bad.
I don't think he's sad when he looks at his bank account statement. I think he's quite happy.
Oh, he's
about
not.
That.
He's not sad, but the fans are. He's doing just fine.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Macklin and Wallace. Professor Chris, you Macklin guy. You trust him in the next 3 weeks to start, or is he flexible or benchable?
I am not trusting Macklin any longer.
All right. Collins seems to have the best game. Danny Woodhead is another guy we've been hot on low. And he hasn't been doing much since he came back. Has he missed the window to become, part of that chemistry of that offense? Is he somebody you still want to roll out there, or are you a little worried about him for the rest of the season?
I just don't think they're going to use him.
Yeah, it's looking that way. You feel better about Alex Collins, though, every week, right? He's a starter now every week?
He's suffering from migraines, so keep an eye out. I've been on the Alex Collins train for a long while, so I do love him every week.
All right. Let me ask you, Collins or Hunt?
Hunt.
I'm not answering.
Reserve answering for later? Okay.
Well, right. I think Hunt is the superior running back who I think is going to perform better.
Yeah.
As of right now, until further notice, Collins.
Okay.
That's all you had to say earlier.
Yeah, but it's just I don't want to say it. I love Hunt.
I have a strong feeling that's going to be a mail sack question this week. I think we're going to get into that on Wednesday. Tyon Green, 11 for 51s and a touchdown for Detroit. Waiver wire ad for the playoffs, for sure. It looks like they want to move on from Amir Abdullah completely.
No, not for sure. I don't think he's worth picking up.
Well, isn't Amir hurt? Or didn't he have a leg injury?
He is hurt, but there were some reports that the Lions wanted to kind of go in a different direction in running back, so this might have just been the opportunity they had to roll Tyon Green out there.
I would need to see it, and this could also be Amir, you're getting one more shot, and if you don't do well, and Amir will do well, because I feel like that's kind of how he operates. Every time we think he's going to lose his job, he has one great game, and they're right back in on him.
All right. That doesn't make me feel real good about starting him, but okay.
I mean, it's football. Sorry. I know fantasy is what we're here for, but we're talking real NFL. We don't know. We need to see what's going on. We're not in the office. Love to be, but we're not.
Okay. I would say Tyon Green, maybe in a deep league, might stash him. Maybe. If he holds on to the job. It's possible. Can we move on to the 49ers and the Bears? What a great game.
Let's do it.
We're so excited to see what Jimmy Garoppolo would do. Guys, tell me how Garoppolo looked to you. Max, you start with him.
Poop sandwich.
Wow. Poetic.
I don't know. I thought he was okay. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, for your first start ever, yeah, he looked fine. But for the hype that this man's been pulling in, he didn't look good. And he was playing the Bears, which is a defense that honestly isn't that fantastic. I understand that the 49ers, offense, seriously lacking talent, but I expected more. 293 with a touchdown, 26-37. 293 with an interception, sorry. If you change the interception to a touchdown, he had a mediocre game. And he didn't score a touchdown, so he had a mediocre game.
Right. Let's talk about this. This team's record's 2-10. You got to believe they're going to keep rolling with them. Probably see what they got. They go to the Texans. They face the Titans and the Jags. So one team that's out of it, two that are in the hunt for a playoff bid. Do you see any value in the wide receiver and quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo for the next 3 weeks?
Definitely Marquise Goodwin. 8 for 99. It's a great game.
Yeah,
Marquise. Well, I think we've been kind of shouting out Marquise Goodwin all season.
Right. Hyde owners concerned at all, or keep rolling him out? I don't know. This team's hard to judge for fantasy.
I'd keep playing Hyde.
Okay. The other guy that got the shot this week was Taylor, wide receiver for the 49ers. 6 for 92. Good PPR day. Worth the shot in waivers, think?
No, I don't think so.
On the other side, Chicago had the ball for only 21 minutes. Trubisky threw only 15 times. So you got Tariq Cohen leading the receivers. Jordan Howard, I'm concerned. 2 really awful weeks in a row. Next 3, they go to the Bengals, they go to the Lions, they face the Browns. I'm still starting Jordan Howard, right? But should I still be concerned and maybe take some more risky moves in the event that he doesn't have another good week?
Define risky moves.
Well, like, say I'm starting Jordan Howard. And say I got, let's say I got Kareem Hunt and Jordan Howard as my running backs. I don't know, maybe I got Derrick Henry on my bench. Would I start Henry for the pop value over Hunt? If I'm concerned about Jordan Howard not getting me 20 points, maybe just getting me, 8 to 10 flex value?
No, I'd probably still roll Henry. I'd probably still roll Hunt just because Hunt is the number one.
All right, P. Ryan. Say I got P. Ryan, Hunt, and Howard.
Hunt.
Matchup
based. Okay. So nothing crazy about Howard, I guess. We just got to keep rolling him out. It's a shame.
I would say, don't expect him to be what he was at the beginning of the season, but that doesn't mean he's still not a good running back for you. Just consider him an RB2. I mean, he's had 2 down weeks, but even LaShawn McCoy has down weeks every once in a while.
All right, cool. That crystallizes it for me. Tariq Cohen, waiver ad, risk-reward guy, worth it or not?
PPR.
Yep, PPR. He's worth a waiver ad. I don't think I would ever have confidence playing him, but he's worth the ad.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him either, just to keep him off someone else's team so they wouldn't make a silly move and start him against me and then he goes off and kills me. That's one of those take the weapons away kind of moves. Packers and Bucks. Packers won. The Bucks made so many mistakes in this game. It's been the story of their season. They look unfocused, unprepared. Jameis Winston, he played well in the short pass game, but it hurt Mike Evans. It hurt Deshaun Jackson. Chris, you said Cameron Bray will be okay when Winston's back, and he was for 2 touchdowns. I'm concerned with Evans and Djax, with Winston still kind of struggling this year. They face the Lions, Falcons, and Panthers. I'm thinking you're still rolling out Mike Evans, but are you a little worried about it?
I'm still rolling out Mike Evans. I'm not expecting a whole lot. Deshaun Jackson, I don't think he's droppable yet, but I don't see him having the kind of impact on the game that he was having with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But you're right, Cameron Bray, Winston being back is great for him. I think Evans, this was, Winston's first game back. I think Evans will get a lot of targets next game.
Let me ask you about Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber, a must-add. Do you think Doug Martin is done for the season with this team likely out of the playoffs? You think they'll just see what they got in Barber?
Absolutely.
Max, you like running backs. What'd you like? What'd you see in Peyton Barber this week?
I saw a running back who's earned more carries. I saw a guy who, you kind of have a team that's disenfranchised with Doug Martin, and Barber stepped up. It looked really good.
You think Martin's on another team next year?
I don't know, actually. They could make that the two-headed combo and get rid of Quiz Rogers. I think that'd probably be their best move.
Let's talk about Green Bay. Brett Hundley, not a great game, but Jamal Williams got you some points. Aaron Jones came in at the end, got you some points. Rough day for Adams and Nelson. Now, if this team can run the table, if they can win against the Browns and the Panthers, they hopefully get Aaron Rodgers back week 16 against the Vikings. How much do you trust these
Rodgers
running
can
backs?
come back week 15, can't he?
I'm sorry, week 15. That's right, week 15.
Yep.
So how much do you like these running backs the next couple of weeks here?
Still like
I
Jamal
like him
Williams.
a lot. Jamal Williams is the guy.
I wasn't as high on him this week as I probably should have been, but he completely changed my mind.
He's definitely the one you want to own. Jones is all right, but Williams is the guy.
Adams fell off for a little bit from his recent performance, though. You're still rolling him out there against the Browns, I think. Panthers, I think he can beat the Panthers. So I would say Adams is a safe start for the next 2 weeks of playoffs. Holding on to Jordy Nelson or grabbing him in the event that Rodgers may come back. If he's floating out there in the waivers, are you guys rushing out to stash him real quick?
If you're in the ship, or if you are confident that you're going to make it, yeah.
Who would you drop for
absolutely.
stashing him?
Give me some options.
Let's say you're not happy with
Devontae Parker? Sure.
Yeah, obviously Parker. How about like Cooper or Crabtree? They haven't been great.
Cooper or Crabtree?
Yeah.
I keep Crabtree.
Drop Cooper for Jordy?
Yeah, I consider dropping Cooper. I mean, if you have Cooper, unfortunately, at this point in the year, you're probably starting him every week. But if you're in the situation where you don't need to, yeah, I'd probably drop him and try to stash Gordon because I just feel like that's better.
How about Josh Gordon? If he's out there or Jordy's out there?
Oh, I said Josh Gordon. I meant Jordan Nelson.
Jordan Nelson.
No, I keep Gordon.
The Dolphins destroyed the Broncos 35-9. Dolphins defense played really well. Max, I'm going to take issue with you, buddy. You said Demaryius and Sanders would be fine with Simeon, and
I was wrong.
They weren't. What happened?
Yeah, Simeon looked terrible.
Really bad.
I didn't expect that. He was stepping back into his team. He was the quarterback last year, beginning of the year. He was finally getting the ball back, and I don't know what happened, but he looked terrible. And it's as simple as that. He looked bad, and I can't say anything else. It's his fault.
Does that tank the value of Sanders and Thomas for the next couple of games?
Sanders, yes.
Sanders hasn't been good for 3 weeks. So
yeah, Sanders, he's tanked to me. It sucks. Like there's nothing else I can say about it. It just sucks because I own a few shares of Sanders with him and Simeon. I thought they had a good chemistry last year. Demaryius Thomas, I want to say he's going to be okay for you, but right now, in my eyes, if this game was like a precursor to what's going to go on, he's a wide receiver 3. He's startable, but he's a wide receiver 3.
The running backs, C.J. Anderson looked okay. That does not mean I'm going to want to play him, though, because the Jets have a pretty good run defense. And, maybe against the Colts and the Redskins, if he has a good game against the Jets. But I'm not trusting any of the Denver running backs. But I will say, Jets, Colts, and Redskins is good news for Demaryius Thomas.
On the Miami side, we kind of already mentioned it. Max, I think, I don't know if it was us talking about him for the last couple of weeks or his performance, dropping Parker. You can't play him. Not at this point.
I've liked Parker all season, but he has to be hurt because it looks like he just doesn't care.
Yeah. No, I haven't
it
seen
looks
him for
like
2
he's
weeks.
not trying.
He 2 weeks running, I was saying, he didn't look like he didn't care anymore. So whether it's a hurt or an attitude issue, I haven't been starting him, and I dropped him last week. I had to, and I picked up Kenyon Drake, who had a hell of a game. Now, do we know anything about Damian Williams' injury? Is he coming back? And if he doesn't, you got to start Drake with the Pats, Bills, and Chiefs on the upcoming schedule, right?
Yep.
Hey, would you go Drake over Hunt?
That's a good question.
I want to say no, but that's my gut instinct.
I did this week.
I have Hunt.
I did this week in
Drake is on my wire. I do have the space for him on my team, but it's one of those things where do I add him? Do I not? You know what I mean?
I don't think I would play Drake over Hunt, but I would not have any issue if someone wanted to take that chance.
See, that's my issue right now. It's like I wouldn't do it, but if you did, I totally get it.
Yeah.
The Patriots, they looked very balanced this week. That defense was pretty good. You see, I think it's fully developed now. I think Lewis is the lead back. Burkhead is the goal line guy and very involved in the game as well with 2 touchdowns. Gronkowski's suspended 1 week, guys, for the nasty hit on the Dolphins player, but he had a great week. So with Gronk out, we still haven't really heard anything about Hogan coming back. You got Cooks and Amendola. Can you trust them the next 3 weeks? They play at the Dolphins, at the Steelers, and the Bills at home.
I'd trust Cooks over everyone else.
Okay. But you're good starting both running backs at this point in the season, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Chris, you got anything to say about the cheating Patriots?
No, Rob Gronkowski said it all yesterday.
Dude, that was... Oh, my God. I was so mad about that. It's funny because I'm not one to be like, oh, screw the Patriots, because I defend them. They're not my team, but I'll defend them. I got mad when Richard Sherman took a cheap shot at Mariota. I get mad at cheap shots. There is no need to try to cause physical harm to someone outside of a play. You're just being
Hey now.
That's it. Like, Rob Gronkowski, you're 6'6", 250, pure muscle, and you hit a guy in the back of the head with a metal arm brace with all your weight behind it. I understand 1 game suspension because you don't have a history of this, but dude, it should have been 2.
Bills, man, all right, so I'm going to take you guys' issue on this one because you've been talking about the Bills' playoff schedule, and Tyrod, McCoy, and Clay were your guys. Now, Clay didn't do much this week. Tyrod got hurt, but before he got hurt, only 9 of 18 for 60 yards and a pick. If he's, at the point he's day-to-day right now with the bruised patellar tendon, if he comes back, recent performance, you still feel good about him? Rest of season?
No, it was like 4 weeks ago is when I said that he had a good playoff schedule. I have been down and down and down and down on him. I don't think he's playable.
I still like him.
But why?
There's nothing. Yeah, why?
The potential. It depends on who you have, realistically. But I mean, if you're in the playoffs and you think you have a push to the championship, you probably don't need him. So.
No, like, it's going to be guys like, if you're running Tyrod at this point in the season and you can get like a McCown off the waiver, you're starting McCown over Tyrod if he's back.
McCown, maybe. If it's like,
how many 20-plus point games do you think Tyrod's had?
2.
The season?
2.
Yep.
I'm going to say 3.
1.
Jesus.
Really?
1 20-point game. It was at the Jets. He had 285 and 2 touchdowns. 26.9 points. All the other ones, I'm looking at ESPN PPR, just like their regular PPR, and only 1 time.
See, and I feel like McCown has had at least 8 in that category.
Yeah, McCown's definitely had quite a few.
So, for me, it's no question. I'm fading the Bills. I know you guys love McCoy, and he gets the job done, but, man.
He's still putting up points, so I can't.
Yeah, it's just scary for me to say he's an RB1. I mean, he's an RB2 flex for me. I don't know.
Well, he's an RB. If you're in PPR, he's still an RB1.
Yeah, but if Taylor misses time and they got Nate Peterman back there, I don't know.
McCoy's still okay. If Peterman's back there, he's an RB2. I'll give you that.
Pick up Travaris Cadet. If you should have space on your bench because the playoffs. You shouldn't be really. I don't know. It's handcuff and stash time, not depth time.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're probably not gonna make the playoffs. So. It might be time to see if they just say, let's see what Peterman's got for the rest of the season. So, yeah, maybe Cadet has some value. What do you think?
I'd pick up Travaris Cadet over Peterman. Yeah, no one's picking up Peterman, though.
No. I'm saying if they start Peterman for the rest of the season, you say, all right, fine, Tyrod get better.
See, I doubt they do that because they don't want Tyrod to be like their forever quarterback, so they'll probably just use him and abuse him while they have him.
Just destroy his knee before they dump him. It sucks.
I don't think they care.
Chargers and the Browns. Chargers 19, Browns 10. The Chargers are now the team to beat, playing the best football, I think, of any team in the AFC West. Rivers didn't get a lot of touchdowns, but he had a lot of yardage, and Keenan Allen stayed consistent. Eckler was the guy that I was kind of psyched about. He'd been pretty good in PPR since Week 10, getting you just around 10 points average. Not too bad. But for the next 3 weeks, they get the Redskins, and then they're at the Chiefs, at the Jets. Can the Chargers remain hot for the next 3 weeks with their skill position players?
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
They're on fire, so it's...
I'm still 100%. Rivers, Keenan, and Melvin auto starts every week now.
Those are the main
and Hunter Henry, if he's healthy.
Yeah.
So.
Did he get hurt?
No.
Kind of.
Or is this just an in general?
No, he kind of got hurt last game. He got hit pretty hard. I think he left early, or it was questionable.
Like, I'm playing Melvin Gordon this week if he's healthy.
Yeah, obviously. Melvin Gordon's an animal. I'm talking about like tight end wise.
Says he's dealing with a sore knee, so
he got hit.
Yeah,
he left for a little while.
Saying he should be okay. Coach says he should be okay. So watch that one. Are we not on the Eckler train anymore as a possible stash flex guy? I don't know. I still like him. I think he's going to be.
No, he's definitely a stash.
Yeah,
for sure.
Next couple of weeks.
This is the time of year where you need to be looking to hold a few defenses. That'll be great in the playoffs, like based on the matchups, and as many handcuff stashes as you can, as in Austin Eckler, Travaris Cadet, James Conner. Guys who are behind true RB1s need to be owned.
The Chargers defense played pretty well too. They were a defense we were kind of looking good at in terms of matchups for the rest of the season. I think there's still a pretty good defense to play against the Redskins and the Chiefs. Maybe not so much the Jets, but we'll see.
No, they're playing great.
Guys, we got to talk about Josh Gordon. First game back. Max, what did you see of Josh Gordon? Did you like what you saw, and did he impress you? Play against pretty tough defense. What'd you see?
I liked what I saw. I didn't like the quarterback play. The fact that Gordon was being targeted so much was actually nice to see. He did well with what I think were catchable balls.
So did he earn himself a start for you next week? They play the Packers and then the Ravens and the Bears. Probably the easiest matchup is going to be the Packers.
I'd say a flex start, yeah. I mean, if you're in PPR, he's going to get targeted a ton. And if Kaiser can get the ball in his area even a little bit, he'll catch it.
All right. Chris, do you agree with Josh Gordon?
I think he has earned a possible flex role against the Packers. Not sure about the Ravens and Bears, though.
Concerned about Corey Coleman. Where did he go this week? What happened?
He was hurt. He was out.
What?
No, he wasn't.
According to DraftKings, he was out.
Out how?
I don't know. I started him in one of my lineups, and it said he was out.
No, he just had 4 targets and 0 catches.
Yeah, he just didn't do anything.
So DraftKings just calls him like, oh, he wasn't playing.
They saw the 0. They just assumed he was injured. All right, so let's talk about this. 4 targets and 0 catches. What the? I mean, Max, you said last week with Gordon back that hurts Corey Coleman's value, right? Not this bad.
I thought it would hurt it, and I thought it would increase too. I thought it would hurt it initially, but increase it once we get used to having Josh Gordon on the field. But it looked like Kaiser literally just went after his new toy. Yeah. And that was it. So, he went after his tight end and his new toy, and that's all it did.
Is this going to continue?
Probably. Kaiser sucks.
So Coleman's value is tanked. Coleman's value is tanked at this point now. Jesus.
Well, you got to think, when Coleman's in, you're the number one, you're the only receiver being looked at.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're not the number one anymore. Josh Gordon is a technically like perennial all-star, if you want to call him that. And when Kaiser's in trouble, most people throw it to their tight ends or check downs or something. Kaiser just dumps it to Josh Gordon, whether it's close to him or not.
He did that one game.
Yeah, there was only one game.
Right. So that's not enough of a sample size to establish a trend.
Yeah, but he's a bad enough quarterback that I can establish a trend.
Well, yeah, at him being bad, not necessarily at Josh Gordon being great.
Josh Gordon is great, so, I mean...
Okay, we're not going to get into this again.
We can just get that argument out of the way now.
We all liked Crowell. We said he'd earned a starting spot. Only got 10 carries this game for 41 yards. So where are we at with him this week?
He was productive. They were getting their asses kicked, and they were playing a game that was within reach. So they abandoned the run.
That doesn't help me if I should start him rest of the season here.
Crow, as a flex, I'd start, especially if you're in like a standard league. I think he's good for that.
Okay.
I like him going forward. I've liked him all season. I just feel like this game was a game the Browns thought they had a chance in, and they tried to just keep chucking the ball.
I've got a league where it's 3 running back and 2 wide receiver, so I have no choice but to play Crowell, and I'm still okay with it. Now, there are definitely guys I would play over him, so it might be depending on your roster, but he's still an okay play. 10 for 41, that's not awful for the work that he got. You get 20 carries for 80-plus yards, that'd be all right. We'd be having a different conversation.
Exactly. Let's talk about the Rams and Cardinals. The Rams rolled 32-16. Goff played well. Gurley's been a model of consistency. If he's not scoring, he's getting you plus 100 yards every week, so that's great. Now, we're not certain about what happens with Robert Woods, if he's coming back soon or if he's going to miss another week. Do you guys like Watkins and Kupp going forward the next couple of weeks? They play the Eagles. It's going to be a tough game against the Eagles, I think. Then they got the Seahawks. Then they got the Titans. So a rough road for the Rams to end the season here. Feeling good about Watkins and Kupp, though. Those are the main guys that people are starting.
The only team I feel okay, I guess. I don't feel good against the Eagles. The Seahawks, the Rams always played them really hard. So with Gurley, that could be fine. As far as receiving goes, Kupp's my favorite with Woods out. And the Titans, I'd say start them all. Titans don't scare me at all.
Okay. Professor Chris, you're Sammy Watkins' biggest fan. Let's hear about it.
I do like Sammy Watkins. I still think you can play him. Until Robert Woods comes back, I think I'm going to have Sammy Watkins in my lineup.
I think so, too. I'm okay with the idea that if he scores, he's going to be okay. And if he doesn't, I'm going to get 4 to 6 points in a PPR. So my expectations aren't super high. But I'm pleasantly surprised sometimes. So,
right, but he's had double-digit points for the last 5 weeks.
He is
4 touchdowns the last 5 weeks too.
He's getting it. Yeah, he's getting it on the touchdowns. That's the thing.
Yep.
So he's
which is weird though. Week 12, he had 9 targets.
That was the one that stood out to me. I don't really know. Like that's what we wanted. That's what we want to see him used as. But we don't get that often, I guess, is my concern. Kupp to me is the safe start in PPR. Watkins is a little bit more risky. Fitzgerald, I just want to talk about Larry Fitzgerald. He's now the 4th in all-time receiving list, past Isaac Bruce, and he's likely to pass Randy Moss next week for 3rd all-time. So nice work, Larry Fitzgerald. 10 of 10 for 98 and a touchdown. He has now put up 7 games over 70 yards, has 5 touchdowns. This guy, you got to start him every week. He's the only bright spot on this Cards team this week, though. RSJ came back down to earth, and the next 3 weeks, they got the Titans, then they're at the Redskins and the Giants. This team is still playing hard, even though they're likely out of the playoffs. So, how do you guys like Kerwin Williams if Adrian Peterson misses some time? How do you like any of these other Cardinals players in the next 3 weeks? You feel any is there any upside value you see where you might start one of these guys?
I've liked Williams for the last few years, actually. When Andre Ellington went down like 3 years ago, before they even had DJ, Kerwin did work against the Seahawks when he was a rookie, and I thought that was awesome. The kid runs hard, and I think where I don't expect huge numbers out of him, if AP is out, I'd be okay starting him at flex.
Yeah, Kerwin Williams, I'm not a huge fan of, but he can be started.
Panthers and the Saints game, this was for first place in the division. Essentially, Mark Ingram got his work with a good game. I think people are concerned about Drew Brees. Fantasy playoffs, he's got at the Falcons, then the Jets, then the Falcons come to New Orleans. And he hasn't been scoring a lot of touchdowns this year. Is he
he has elite running backs.
Yeah, but is he a quarterback you can trust to get you through the playoffs to the championship?
Against the Falcons, yes.
Yep, I'm still playing Drew Brees. Maybe I don't have as much faith in him as I did when I drafted him, but I'm still playing him.
1 out of 10 confidence, where you at? 10 being most confident in Drew Brees. Where you at on the scale?
Go like a 7.
Okay, that's respectable. It's respectable.
Against the Falcons, I'm going to say I'll give him a 7 as well. The Jets, I'd give him a solid 5.
Okay.
Not necessarily because I think the Jets are good. I just think that's a game where Peyton's just going to let the ball be run a million times.
Little matchup dependent. If there's a better guy out there, you might want to run. Panthers, though. Let's talk about Greg Olsen and Funchess and Cam. Do you trust these guys for the next 3 games? They play the Vikings, the Packers, and the Bucks to close out the season. I am not real concerned about the Packers and Bucks games, but the Vikings game next week scares me a little bit. First week of the playoffs, I don't want to get bounced the first week. How do you feel about Olsen, Funchess, and Cam?
Funchess is the only one, or Funchess and Cam, actually. I don't really like Olsen right now because I don't know what's going to happen.
I'd say Funchess and McCaffrey. Both good.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know McCaffrey was an option.
Oh, I think everybody's starting McCaffrey if you got him. Cam is a question mark for me. I mean, he played okay. He's getting the points for you. I don't know. He's had off games before, and I'm concerned he might have one first week of the playoffs. That's my concern. If you had like Cam or Breeze, who'd you start next week? Cam against the Vikes or Breeze against the Falcons?
Breeze, for sure.
Raiders and Giants, Geno Smith had a decent game. The big question is Ingram and Shepard the next 3 weeks. They got the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Cards. Each of these teams, I think, well, at least the Cowboys and Eagles could go away with a pretty early lead. So are you still rolling out Ingram and Shepard the next couple of weeks?
Eli Manning should be starting this weekend. They fired the head coach and they fired their GM, and they made an announcement that they plan on having Eli go back under center.
How is that?
Because honestly, Geno played a fine game.
You're taking that route with it, huh? No, it's that they told Eli, hey, we're going to start Geno, and then the next week it's like, oh, by the way, we ended your streak for no reason.
Well, I mean, what pisses me off, like, that sucks, but it's like the owner should have stepped in. The owner should have been there a week ago to be like, no, this isn't happening. Eli's our guy, even though Geno did do well with McAdoo. Didn't do unreal, but I think we all thought he did better than we expected. Yeah, it's rough, though. He just lost his streak, and Rivers is going to break it.
So does that change your outlook value for Ingram and Shepard over the next couple of games? Or are they fine either way with Eli?
Yeah, it goes down.
It goes down?
I think Eli's a worse quarterback than Geno Smith this year.
Okay. Does that also make Arlene's Darkwa value go up now?
I don't want any part of that team.
Yeah, no, you said
everything is the exact same as it was before last week.
So it's kind of you can start Arlene if you want, if it's your only option,
right?
But don't be confident in it. It's very matchup dependent. The matchups aren't the worst, but he's the only, like, Shepard, boom or bust. Ingram, a little safer. Orleans Darkwa, flex.
Right.
I don't think Shepard's going to be that boom or bust. I think he's going to be involved.
Yeah, now that he's healthy. I mean, he missed a couple of games. Now that he's healthy, I think he's going to be involved. So if you want to take on the Giants, go back a couple of weeks and listen to our podcast when Shepard was playing and Eli was quarterback. It's pretty much what you're going to get. Marshawn Lynch seems to be the hot guy right now on the Raiders. They get the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Eagles to finish out the season. If with Crabtree and Cooper, if they come back, we got Carr, Crabtree, Cooper, and Lynch. Do you guys feel good about starting all those guys the rest of the season here? Is there anybody you're concerned with that you're benching? Personally, Cooper's the guy for me. I don't feel good about starting him in the playoffs.
I agree with that. I don't feel good about Cooper. Washington actually had a decent game alongside Lynch, so something to keep an eye on. Lynch was his first 100-yard game since 2015, which is so sick for him. But he's not an RB1. He's not an RB2. He's a flex. He's a nice flex, but he's a flex.
Okay.
Yep, I agree. I would still start Carr and Crabtree and maybe Cooper if you're feeling risky.
Yeah, that is a risky one for me. Although with what the Jets did to the Chiefs through the air last week, this could be a nice game if both of those receivers play against that Chiefs defense. Okay, the Seahawks and the Eagles to finish it off. We had the Seahawks, a shocking win over the Eagles. But, Max, I think you said the Seahawks could beat the Eagles if everything was aligned properly. Walk me through this game and tell me how they did it.
All right. Russell Wilson got dressed in normal clothes, and then he was like, you know what, guys? Took all his clothes off, put on a Superman outfit, put his jersey on over that, and put the team on his back. Russell Wilson carried the team. Russell Wilson is the team, and the Seahawks got a few choice calls. That's what happened. There are a few risky plays that the officials didn't call on that, honestly, it happens every game to every team. The Seahawks just stepped up against what I think right now is the best team in the NFL next to maybe Minnesota. And Russell Wilson just played like a man possessed. And it was amazing to watch. 6 carries, 31 yards, 20 for 31, 220 passing with 3 touchdowns. I mean, you can't ask for more out of your quarterback. It was great.
I think people are going to be concerned about Doug Baldwin because everyone expected Wilson to come on in the second half of the season. People often say that Doug Baldwin does the same thing, but did not have a great week, hasn't looked great lately.
He was 5 for 84, which if you're in PPR, which is realistically where you should be owning Doug Baldwin and probably where you targeted him most, then that's fine for you.
Yeah, that's an okay game. Plus, he almost had a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a perfectly fine game. I mean, Jimmy Graham's doing good. Tyler Lockett's probably the most fluky receiver on that team.
Yeah.
And he had the touchdown. That could easily go to Baldwin.
Okay.
So, I mean, Russell Wilson, if you guys own him, congrats, because he's looking like he's playing the best football ever. Carson Wentz, I feel like had to throw more than he was comfortable with. They really needed to abandon the run game quick. And Nelson Aguilar, great play. Jeffrey, okay play in PPR. This was just an off game for the Eagles, and the chips fell in Seattle's way. These are two very, very good teams, so it'll be fun to watch them in the playoffs.
Talk to me about Mike Davis on the Seahawks. We're at the waiver ad. Looks like he's going to be maybe the guy to run the ball there.
Yes, maybe for a week or two, because apparently Chris Carson is way ahead of schedule as far as being healed. And I know Pete Carroll wants him back desperately. And
I didn't hear anything about that.
I saw that too. It just say he was coming along faster than expected. I didn't get the feeling that he was like going to play in a week or anything.
If Aaron Rodgers is going to play in a week or two, I feel like Chris Carson could.
I mean, it'd be great to get him back. They're hot right now. They're 8-4. They can definitely get to the playoffs. It'd be nice to have him back. So Davis maybe for a week as a waiver stash, possibly. Maybe not a start, but they do play the Jags next week.
It's definitely a stash, but he looks good.
Zach Ertz got banged up a little bit, concussion in the third quarter. Yeah, you're a Zach Ertz guy, so if you're missing Zach Ertz this week, if he doesn't come back from concussion, you feel okay about rolling out Trey Burton in his place?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. I would have said Selleck if this was last year, but yeah. The tight ends always seem to do good for the Eagles.
Yeah, they definitely.
Well, and the last time Trey Burton was in, he was great.
Yeah.
That's it for the recaps, guys. I'm glad we got to some important guys that I wanted to talk about. Alex Smith, Alex Collins. We talked about Sanders. These guys, trending up and down. Murray, Julio, Diggs, all these guys that, got you to the playoffs, but you're not sure if you can keep trusting them. So, of course, you're going to have more questions. I know. We can only do so much in a show. That's why we do the Wednesday Night Mail Sack. We start around 7:30. It's a live show. We take your phone calls. We take your questions from the SleeperBot and Fantasy Life apps and we answer them all. So tune in for the Mail Sack Show this Wednesday. We'll get you all your questions answered for your playoff push. Professor Chris and Max, any last words about Week 13 and the close of the regular season of fantasy?
Nope. Good luck this week.
Good luck. That's all I can say.
That's all I can say, too.
Good luck. Do your research. If you guys think that we are giving you the best advice, thank you. Double check it. Look everywhere. It never hurts.
That was weird.
See, that's the thing. With the playoffs, what I'm trying to say is, with the playoffs, if you're at this point, you want to win, everyone wants to win, never just trust one source.
Let me turn this into a good question that might actually help people. Max and Chris, do you guys have any websites or resources that you specifically use to try to figure out these trends and performances and figure out what guy is going to be good this week? Are there any tips that you can give the listeners? I
go on RotoWire and I read player updates a lot. Twitter, obviously Ian Rappaport. I also go on the website thescore.com and I will actually go through every game and any player that interests me, and I'll go on their team and look at the stat sheet breakdown. And I'll look at the stories of each team, see if O linemen are out, D linemen are out, secondary's hurt, what's going on. I want to know if I have Kareem Hunt. I want to know how the other defense looks as a whole. I want to know how the plays got broken down, what his carry yardage is on average. Something like that. That's what I do. The Score is just one of the sites I use. It's probably my most favorite right now because it's the easiest to use, but that's a good thing to do. Look at matchups, read a lot of articles on the key players you're not sure about.
ESPN and Yahoo both inside of the app, and maybe even better on the website, you can, look a little bit deeper into stuff that you don't just normally see on ESPN, if you're watching TV or something like that. But ProFootballReference.com, I love to use that, especially when I'm looking up red zone targets.
Good site. Great. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
it's great for stats.
They keep track of everything.
Dude, they keep track of more stats than I care to read, and I love reading stats.
Yep.
You can also go to SleeperWire.com, guys. Go there for our rankings because we take all this information, we boil it down into our weekly rankings, which come out Wednesday, so that you can get it's sort of a cheat sheet for fantasy football. We also got our podcast there, and you can send us questions through the site. In addition to that Mail Sack Show coming out on Wednesday, with live show, so you can be a part of that. And also, of course, you can go there to visit our cause. Support our friend Rob with his battle of chronic Lyme disease. We trying to close out the season strong here. So if we helped you out at all this season, win a couple of games, find a couple of waiver gems, or find some sleepers, man, make a little donation here during the holiday time for our friend Rob. We're trying to get all the support we can here for him. And just find that on the link, our cause, on the SleeperWire.com webpage. And of course, the 12 champions of SleeperWire are available all the time online, ready to help you with questions. You can find us on the Fantasy Life and SleeperBot app, at Professor Chris, at MaxSW, at SWSteve, and at SleeperWire. Also join the SleeperWire channel on the SleeperBot app. Find us on Twitter and Facebook at SleeperWire Show. You can reach Professor Chris on Twitter at Seymour SleeperWire. Max doesn't have Twitter because he's too cool for it. That is it for the show today, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to tune in to the Mail Sack, 7:30 on Wednesday night. Go to the SleeperWire.com page, look for the Mixer player on the homepage. That's it, guys. Good luck in the first week of the playoffs. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Peace.
The champions from the Sleeper Wire Fantasy Football Show will help you win your fantasy football championship. Sleeper Wire, Friday 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Sleeper Wire on Dash Talk.